Hi, everyone. I'm meteorologist Joe Cioffi here on this Sunday night in the U.S., and we are getting ready to move into the early morning hours over Ireland, where we are going to see Ophelia making its transition now over into an extratropical cyclone, albeit a powerful one, that'll be moving into southwestern Ireland Monday morning. Right around or just before midday, and then northeastward from there, just inland of the west coast of Ireland, and then eventually moving up offshore over Scotland, and then out of northeastward from there, weakening, of course, once it moves across Ireland, but it will be coming in at its strongest intensity when it comes in to the southwest coast. We are going to start to see weather conditions that deteriorate across all of the British Isles, but there will be a wide variety of weather that's going to occur, from some areas getting very little rain and some wind, to some areas getting some rain and a lot of wind, and then some areas that are going to get wind and rain. But the strongest winds are going to be near and east of the track of the storm. The heaviest rains will be along and north and west of the track. So I'll show you now on the weather video. We'll look at the satellites, the latest models in what they're forecasting, and then we'll come back and we will take whatever questions you have. So just stand by. Welcome once again to everyone watching from Ireland, England, Wales, Scotland, and of course here in my home in the U.S. as we watch Hurricane Ophelia, which is gradually losing its tropical characteristics. If you look at here on the satellite view, you can still pick out that there's a core in the circulation, that bright white blotch that you see. I'm going to stop the last frame here and highlight it for you. So it's right in here. There's still a bit of a core circulation, but you'll notice that the cloud structure on the satellite is taking on that comma shape, which is much more of what you see with non-tropical systems. But I want to emphasize that whether it's tropical or non-tropical, this is going to be a powerful cyclone as it moves northeastward and heads for the southwest coast of Ireland on Monday morning Ireland time. And when we look at it on the full satellite view of Europe, you can see that it's kind of merged with this frontal zone that's right along just offshore. I'll highlight it here for you. It's right embedded right in there. You can still pick out the higher and colder cloud tops. So that last frame there is from a little bit earlier. See if I can catch that the very last frame and stop it for you. Hang on here. And there we go. Okay, so here it is now. The cloud tops are just to the south of the south shore of Ireland, but the heavy weather with this, whoops, one more time. There we go. The heavy weather with this is still down in this area here, and this is going to start moving in during the early morning hours as we continue to see the track off to the northeast. Quite a formidable formidable storm that we're dealing with here. Also, you can see the energy that's out in the central Atlantic. That's the trough that's swinging down, up and around, and lifting Ophelia on northeastward. So you're going to look for weather conditions to deteriorate rapidly during the early morning hours across Ireland, and the height of this will be from 6 a.m. till noon Dublin time before weather conditions begin to improve. Should also point out that because of the rapid speed of movement, this thing is racing northeastward at between 35 and 40 miles an hour. That is going to impact the winds. While the sustained winds may be running at about 40 or 50 knots, especially right along and just off the coast, we are going to have wind gusts in excess of hurricane force, especially in the mountainous areas in Ireland. The wind could actually be 20 to 30% higher in the mountain areas than it would, and in the elevated areas than it will be along the immediate coast. The weather model, I'm going to just show you the GFS. All the models were about the same here. The system actually gets a little bit of juice from that upper trough that I showed you that's swinging around. There's a bit of a jet streak in the upper layers of the atmosphere that is coming into play, and you can see it right here in the yellow. There's where the surface low is when it's off the Irish coast, and this jet streak in the high layers of the atmosphere gets involved, and that gives it kind of a little bit of extra juice in the way a winter storm would get it. Now, once again, with respect to rainfall, it's going to be along and west and north of the track, so it would be western and northern Ireland and northern areas of Scotland that will get some heavy rain. You'll notice that not that much rain falls, if any at all, in England. This is for most of England. This is going to be more of a bit of more of a wind event, but certainly not from the standpoint of the kind of winds that we're going to see in Ireland. I'm going to pull up a sounding so we can actually take a look at some of the winds that the model, at least, is forecasting. You see how all these isobars here, these are lines of equal pressure. When you have a large change in pressure over a relatively short distance, that is a definition of the strength of the wind. So here we have a very, very tight pressure gradient around that low. So that's going to be producing some strong winds. I'm going to try and pull up a sounding. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And apparently right now it's decided not to work for me. Okay, so for some reason I can't get the sounding up, but I can at least pull up the 10-meter wind map, and there's that purple area. This is at noon on Monday, Dublin time, and the purple is 50 knots or greater, touching the south and southwest coast of Ireland. You can see where the low center is, just right along that southwest corner. You've got gales, 40-knot plus winds in the Irish Sea back to the west coast of England, and those gales spread northward, north of Ireland toward coastal Scotland as the low center moves over northern Scotland, and then eventually out northeastward as the low deteriorates. So once it moves inland over Ireland, it is going to weaken somewhat and continue to weaken as it moves its way northeastward, eventually into Norway and getting absorbed in another storm that's up in the North Atlantic. So there really hasn't been that much change in terms of what the models have been showing here. We are at this point now just going to wait for weather conditions to deteriorate. I was looking at some of the hourly observations over Ireland this evening around as we approached the midnight hour. There wasn't anything especially startling. Most of the winds were on the light side. They're starting to pick up a little bit right along the immediate coast, but you will see the wind conditions deteriorate. Those winds will be picking up overnight and then getting very strong during Monday.